So what I'll do is I'll quickly share my screen and let's first discuss, what the starting lineup was and whether it surprised us or not. For me, it was certainly, a couple of surprises for sure. I'll start with Shashwat. So Shashwat, this is what I think we started with. I know previously in the midweek we had the Champions League game, but still, like, did it surprise you that Aspilicueta started in the wing back position? We kind of anticipated that on the previous show, but how about you? Him as well as the difference that you see.
Yeah, I am more surprised by Werner not getting a run in alongside Lukaku. I'm most surprised by that because when we signed Lukaku, I was very excited for that Werner Lukaku partnership. I have said it a lot on my previous shows as well that when Werner played in Leipzig, he played alongside a physical striker like a Yusuf Poulsen. So we have now a beast up front, Lukaku, who is an absolute monster of a forward, and I was absolutely delighted when we got him. And I really wanted to see how Werner could work alongside Lukaku, but it made sense that Havertz started because we know how Nuno plays. He has that low block. But when the first half started, we saw that Spurs were committing forward a lot of times and they were leaving their backline quite exposed. We also hit them a couple of times on the counter, but unfortunately, we were not able to take those chances. Yeah, and coming back to your right back, I was not that surprised because I knew that Thomas Tuchel likes to go with experience in such games, in big games.
Coming to Spurs, right? As in, like you said, definitely, Spurs had a great first half in general, right? Son, I think, wasn't really expected to start. He was, touted to be injured, and same was the case, I think, if I'm not wrong, with Eric Dyer, and of course, we had, I think, Lo Celso as well as Romero coming back from quarantine, so they weren't match fit, but still they gave that, high energy kind of pressing game in the first half. So I'll come to you, Dennis. In terms of Chelsea's midfield versus Spurs midfield, right? I just stopped sharing the screen, but of course, for us, it was like Spurs, definitely, crowding their midfield. That was one of the approach where they won a lot of balls. But Mason Mount, someone who's really known to win a lot of balls, was rather kind of giving the ball away. Again, a lot of talk on Twitter. Twitter, like I said before, streaming, is a crazy place. Like, really, I have to say. But I think there was a lot of talk, too much talk about Mason Mount. So I know it's now 3 consecutive games and Mason Mount has lost the ball a lot of times, as well as not created enough. So Dennis, do you see Mason Mount as in being the young person he is just a small blip, or you see something that needs to be worked upon in training specifically?
I mean, that's a tough question. For me, it's not so much about. It's just consistency we're after right now. This guy's a young boy, right? And he's given us such high-level performances in so many different matches that we expect that level game in, game out. And, nobody's taken into account that he's like 22 years old, Like, he hasn't even come close to hitting his prime yet. So I just think that we have to just relax on the whole Mason Mount this, Mason Mount that, on both sides. Like, I'm not really one to, like, overhype him either. Like, I see people calling him generational talent and stuff like that. I'm just like, yo, man, just cool, man. Just let the guy mature at his own pace. It's fine. We're winning games. We don't look exposed. I think that the reason why he was pulled off is because tactically he wasn't fulfilling what Thomas Tuchel wanted. And if you listen to his post-match, what he said very clearly was he didn't change the tactics at the halftime. It was the exact same tactics that were being employed. He just didn't see the same sort of endeavor. He didn't see the same sort of, like, effort winning second balls and whatnot. And that was the reason why he made that tactical switch. And, like, it was all the difference. Like, because what I saw in the first half that was very evident to me was this Chelsea was very expansive. Like, their system, which is usually very compact and tight, was wide open. And, like, I realized that they had to do that just to open up gaps of space in order to play through. But, with the way Tottenham were pressing and whatnot, and Højbjerg in particular, just like sweeping and cleaning everything in behind, it made it very hard for us to play football. And it just was so evident that either we needed to have Mason Mount sit in that midfield and make a flat midfield 3, or bring on N'Golo Kante. And he chose to do the latter, and it worked to perfection.
Yes, well said there. Because as in the moment N'Golo Conte was brought, again, like a lot of calls for N'Golo Conte being brought on. I think at halftime, a lot of us again, message on social media, and that was again on paper a 3-5-2. But like you said, they didn't really change the tactics in terms of the play. And N'Golo Conte is someone that who kind of presses really high and the best in the world, I would say, right? Among the best for sure, at least, right? But I think looking at Kante, Kovacic, and Jorginho playing, like I don't know, I'm sure like people in the chat also must be remembering, but I think Sarri had those days when he was actually heavily criticized when he played all three together. So talk about management. It's just about getting them to work together, and that is the key, right? And again, as in people always react, but that's something that is part and parcel of the game. Having said that, right? So future games, I don't know, Shashwat, do you see us actually playing a 3-5-2, not 3-5-2 per se, but playing these three midfielders together? Because the second half, I think Dieter has already highlighted in the chat, like we played them out of the park. So that was a performance that cannot be just looked down upon or just ignored. We really need to see what benefit we can get from that formation. Do you think, Shashwat, this is something that Tuchel will play much more?
See, I think we are reading too much into it. The only thing which Tuchel said in his press conference after the match was that we were missing a lot of clear opportunities to play simple passes, and we were very sloppy. We lacked that energy. So what he did was he just brought some energy and impetus into that midfield, which was missing behind the striker, and that was what N'Golo Conte brings to the table. And he did not really change the system; he just changed the personnel, and he knows how to get the best out of every player, and that is what makes Tuchel one of the best managers, if not the best manager right now in the world. And he knows how to extract that every ounce of talent that each and every player of a team has. So he knows what all traits Kante has. But Mason Mount, I think he has been overused. Even if you see in the international break too, he was being overused heavily by Gareth Southgate. And a very interesting point made by Lucky in the comment section that many of the English players have not been same since the Euro. We have seen that Chilwell has been not even considered for a start, and he was just brought on as a late substitute against Zenit in the Champions League. So we have yet to see a lot of Chilwell in this season. But again, coming back to that question, I think Mount is the guy. I mean, he is indispensable when this Chelsea teams comes to the mind, and I think he is the mainstay in that front three. You cannot replace him right now. Give him too much stick after a couple of bad performances. I won't say yesterday, okay, his performance were questionable, but before that, I think he was half decent against Villa also. I think he did not have his best of games in a Chelsea shirt, but I think we are reading too much into it. Let's give him a couple of more games and then decide what to do. And we have so much luxury on the bench. We have Ziyech, we have Pulisic, who is still has to come into the team. He's been out unfit. Then Werner has not been given a chance properly since Lukaku has come in, as I said earlier also. So we have a lot of options, so nothing to worry about. But I don't see this happening a lot. Kovacic, Kante and Jorginho playing in this system, all of them three together. And one point to add to that, we are forgetting that Mason Mount was a player of the season last season. I mean, he was the best player. And it is football is game about moments. Okay, there was one chance when Mount served his shot and he was not able to get that proper contact. If that ball had ended in the back of the net, we won't be having this conversation. We would be like, okay, he was sloppy on a couple of occasions, but he got the important goal. So it's all about that. He was involved in the earlier stages of the first half. I agree that he was sloppy with his passing. Not only Mount, but Havertz too. I was not happy with Havertz' performance also last night. The way he was playing, all of us were calling for Ziyech, bring Ziyech on. We need someone to make those driving runs. But again, we know what Havertz has done so far. He has been absolutely sublime. I think last season when he started alongside Pulisic in that Fulham game, when he scored, I think, a couple of goals he scored in that Fulham
that was some wow goal, right?
Yes. Since then, he has been quite magnificent so far, and he got that goal in the Champions League final too, and which has shot up his confidence to another level. You can see him more expressing himself more on the pitch. He was absolutely amazing in the game against Liverpool. He was brilliant in the game against Arsenal. So yeah, one performance.
Yeah,
which was
it's just
not
one
up to
off.
yes, let's not judge. We are on the top of the table. Yeah, let's be happy.
Absolutely, and you know what? The fact that you talk about Havertz, like I'll probably put a question to chat, right? And then yes, Havertz has been top notch in terms of his touches, in terms of the delicate turns that he also does, like Mount, right? But again, because of the fact that some days he's having off, so that's the day when probably Tuchel will probably play three in midfield, or rather three midfielders, so as to speak, and maybe like you said earlier, like get Werner on. So I don't know, guys in the chat. Would you like to see more of Werner, especially in, say, Champions League and Cup games, where he's someone who can really, create that space? And because Mount is seeming a little bit tired, probably that's the best excuse for us to use Werner until at least Pulisic, is 100% fit, right? And that's something that I would really like to see. But yeah, as in over to Thiago Silva. And then come on, Dennis. It is. I would say not just Thiago Silva. To be very honest, of course, that was a legendary performance in itself. Some second half performance, that right, especially in second half, like he won balls for fun, headers for fun. Leave apart the goal, of course, he scored the brilliant header. But I think Alonso, who gave him the assist, was also, I think, a top-notch player in the second half, because he was, as in playing 1-2s for fun, like it's five-a-side football. Like, come on, just the platform is yours, Dennis. Please talk about Thiago Silva and Alonso. What is the positive that they brought to this game?
Man, the man of the match. Let's be honest. Man of the match. Thiago Silva. My goodness, man. Rolling back the clock. Well, not even rolling back the clock, because like this guy is just world class. What I was saying on my stream was that it doesn't matter when you started or when you like from day one to now. Thiago Silva has proven his world class status. You know what I mean? Like his class is permanent, man. And at 37, you wouldn't even know it, because he's just so fantastic. And he's only getting better with age, it seems like. The guy's reading the game phenomenally well. Like everything that was happening in the first half, Tottenham were in the ascendancy. They had control of the football. They were pressing us off the pitch. There were all sorts of things that, like, it's particular in the first 25 minutes, that were giving us all sorts of trouble. And they were probably 1 to 2 moves away from scoring a goal, but for Thiago Silva. Like, until the point where Thiago Silva intervened and said, "No, this ain't happening. This is not happening."
He made that crucial block against Ollie Watkins also in that Aston Villa.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Wow.
It's his birthday also. Day afterwards.
Yeah.
You know what? I don't know if you guys saw, like, actually, again, like, the players obviously respect each other, but John Terry doesn't do this for everyone. He's actually, posted on Instagram saying that he would wish he would play next to Thiago Silva. Like, that is some kind of respect. Like, you actually it means it when John Terry says something, like, you believe it, right? As in simply put. But yeah, world class for sure. And I think he, like you said, like he's fit as a fiddle. Like in terms of whenever he plays, I don't think you can see that age in him. That's not something that you would even think that he's 36 or turning 37. Like perfect,
I will say this though. I think the system helps him as well, because the three at the back that requires less. I wouldn't say less running, because he still has to move around, especially because we play the high line. But it requires. It helps him out a bit, because he doesn't have to. Like if he was playing in a 2. Like he'd have to be dialed in 100% of the time. Now what he has to do in that more like a sweeper role is just clean up for Azpilicueta, clean up for Rudiger, and just basically be an aerial presence. And I think it suits his game perfectly. At this point in time, he reads the game so perfectly. He understands where danger comes and just snuffs it out. So yeah, he's probably the perfect center back that you can have in that midfield 3, or that center back 3. And and he's now just ushering in the next era. He's now deputizing for Christensen, who also looks fantastic. Like let's be honest. Since we went to 3 at the back, Christensen has like been a revelation, and I know that he's learning a lot under Tuchel. He's learning a lot under Thiago Silva, but he's just maturing. He's becoming a real footballer now, somebody that we can depend on game in, game out. Like I know a lot of people during the Champions League final were like, biting their nails and stuff like that at the thought that Thiago Silva was being subbed out, and I was completely calm and collected, because I knew that Christensen has the composure.
To add to Thiago Silva's point, we always talk about this amazing work ethic that Cristiano Ronaldo has, right? He is also like 36, 37 years old. He eats clean, he trains hard. Thiago Silva also does the same, which is not talked about enough. He's an athlete, he's a specimen too. And if you talk about Thiago Silva off the field, he's a family man. He does not go out. He is very disciplined when it comes to training and his dieting. So he is the Cristiano Ronaldo of defenders, but he has gone so under the radar, so underrated he has been throughout. Maybe overshadowed by some of the better defenders, or maybe some defenders that we have. I mean, we have glamorized some defenders. This is the.
I think Ramos is an example, right? Exactly.
Yes,
I think that's for one. As in, great conversation, guys. But yeah, as in talking about the game again, moving from Thiago Silva's performance, which is something of a class apart. But I think N'Golo Kante, like of course, one mention quickly to Kovacic. Again, I am a Kovacic stan. People on the channel know it. But he won the ball for N'Golo Kante, and N'Golo Kante deservedly, got a goal. He really got us back in the game. Just the team get that extra confidence with Kante being there. But I think he has a tendency to score against the big sides. I don't know, something about him, right? As in, I know it was a reflected shot and all that, but at the end of the day, as in, I don't know, chat, like if you remember, I remember all the goals that Kante scored has been against big sides. I remember that wonder goal that he scored, I think against Liverpool in a loss, which was a crazy goal. And again, yesterday one against Man United that he scored, obviously another wonder goal under Conte. So this guy actually has it in him. Like, who knows? Like, he'll probably get Conte scoring a lot of goals in the future, as in if he plays that role further on. Like, I hope so. But again, moving on, I think Werner, he had a few bright moments. I would not like to slate him, because at the end of the day, he got that assist as well, and it was actually a clever assist. It was probably move the ball back. So that is something that you naturally don't do. So he probably thought about is what I would like to give the benefit of doubt. And he could have probably scored as well, but you can probably see that Lukaku and Werner are working off the pitch, and hopefully he'll get something. But talk about Rudiger, like Rudiger is another person. I know he got the goal, but again, like Thiago Silva, someone who is a leader on the pitch, off the pitch as well, probably I'm assuming.